Hey, welcome to EPN. My name is Victor Lucas, and we bring you the latest in everything cool every single day, thanks to viewers, supporters, and now sponsors just like you. This rundown is dedicated to some of our recent sponsors: Sean Adkins, Big D's 314, Joshua Mills, Zone Jeu de Société, Tilt Slam Bam, and Kenny Jonzo. Thank you all so very much. You all rock. Let's get started with your rundown. It looks like Nintendo is getting serious about bringing their most beloved franchises to the big screen. An animated Super Mario Bros. Movie is reportedly in the early stages of development. According to a new report in the Wall Street Journal, Nintendo is currently in talks with Illumination Entertainment, the studio behind the Despicable Me films, to collaborate on a new big screen movie based on the iconic video game character. The Journal claims that Nintendo and Illumination are close to signing a deal, so if they do, expect an official announcement soon. Best of all, Mario creator Shigeru Miyamoto is reportedly set to produce, which means Nintendo will have a strong degree of creative control. This is likely something that's very important to them. The failed live-action Super Mario Bros. Movie from 1993 had very little creative input from Nintendo, and they don't want to repeat the same mistakes.
I'll kill that plumber!
The disastrous reception of that film is the main reason why Nintendo has been reluctant to make film and television adaptations of their work for so long, but in the last few years, they've started to open up to the idea of using their characters in other forms of entertainment. They're already working on Nintendo's theme park attractions with Universal Studios, which is also set to distribute the live-action Pokemon film based on the 3DS game Detective Pikachu. Not coincidentally, Universal happens to be the parent company of Illumination Entertainment, which makes the potential collaboration on a Mario movie all the more likely. You know, we'll keep you up to date as new info comes down the pipe. Ubisoft and the Far Cry franchise might be bringing back one of their most iconic villains.
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
There's a chance that Far Cry 3's creepy and psychotic antagonist Voss, memorably played by Canadian actor Michael Mando, may appear in future games in the series like Far Cry 5. We recently sat down with Far Cry 5's creative director Dan Hay for a lengthy discussion about the new game and the development of the franchise as a whole. The main villains have become an important part of the Far Cry games thanks largely to Mando's iconic performance, so I just had to ask Dan if they're planning to ever use Mando and his character again. Here's what he said.
Do you think we would ever see Voss come back? Is that a possibility?
Never say never.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. I think Mike's pretty busy right now.
He is.
But yeah, I think that there's always an opportunity. What's nice about the stuff that we built is that there are, as I said before, there's this bucket of characters now. And so we look to it as we start to think about, would this character from 3 now somehow be in Montana? Would this character from 4 be available? And we start to think about it as a universe. Which is not something we could do before.
That means it's possible for characters from one Far Cry game to cross over into others since they all take place in the same universe, but keep in mind that Dan hasn't given any indication what past characters they might utilize, if any, so we'll have to wait and see. Bringing back Voss would be pretty cool given the success that Michael Mando has had since Far Cry 3. He's appeared in several big movies and TV shows, including the recent Spider-Man Homecoming, where he appeared briefly as the villainous Scorpion. He's already set to reprise that role and be one of the main villains in the upcoming Spider-Man Homecoming sequel, so hopefully that's not the only villainous role he reprises. What past Far Cry characters would you like to see reused in future games? Let us know in the comments below. Far Cry 5 is set to launch in February 2018. You can watch our full sit-down interview with Dan Hay right now on our channel. Speaking of Spider-Man villains, one of the web-slinger's bloodiest foes might be getting his own movie. Sony Pictures is rumored to be developing a movie based on the Marvel evildoer Morbius, the living vampire. The character first appeared on comic shelves in the early 1970s and is a scientist who accidentally turns himself into a vampire while trying to cure himself of a blood disease. He's appeared in countless Spider-Man comics as well as the 90s animated series, but this will be his first appearance on the big screen. According to The Hollywood Reporter, the new film is being written by Burke Sharpless and Matt Sazama, who last worked on the new Power Rangers movie, and more appropriately, another vampire tale, Dracula Untold. No word yet on a release window. The Morbius movie is just one of several new Spider-Man-related big-screen projects that Sony has in the works. They're currently filming a standalone Venom movie starring Tom Hardy in the slimy lead role. That arrives late next year. Over in the DC universe, you're going to get to see the next Wonder Woman movie a little ahead of schedule. Warner Brothers and DC Comics have bumped up the release date of the planned sequel to their blockbuster superhero movie. It was slated to arrive in December 2019, but will now lasso theaters a month sooner on November 1st, 2019. They haven't said why they changed release dates, but it probably has something to do with Star Wars. Disney recently moved Star Wars Episode 9 to December as well, so apparently the studio executives don't think Wonder Woman is heroic enough to go up against Star Wars.
You expect the battle to be fair! A battle will never be fair!
Star Wars might be mightier than a superhero, but even it is feeling the force of fan backlash. Star Wars Battlefront II publisher EA and developer DICE have made more tweaks and changes to the game's microtransactions and loot box mechanics following a huge backlash from players. The biggest new change is that they've slashed the cost of playable hero characters by 75%. DICE says they're doing this as a direct result of the feedback they've received. Many accused EA of making the heroes cost too much so that players would give up trying to earn them and just spend money instead.
That's the point, Sergeant.
This and other aspects of the game's loot box mechanics have created a huge controversy. The game has been getting ravaged online, as demonstrated by the comments below our recent review, and EA is desperate to change the conversation and end the negative word of mouth. The price slash has already been implemented in the early release versions of the game, but we'll have to wait and see if this is enough to salvage the game's reputation. It will launch worldwide on Friday. It's official, Amazon is going to take audiences back to the vast land of Middle-earth. Following last week's rumors that Amazon and Warner Brothers are developing a live-action Lord of the Rings TV series, the studios have officially announced that the project is indeed on the way. Amazon has confirmed that they've inked a multi-season deal with Warner Brothers and the estate of author J.R.R. Tolkien to create a TV show inspired by the books, and it will be available exclusively on Amazon's streaming platforms. They've also revealed that the show will be a prequel set before the events of the first book, The Fellowship of the Ring. They haven't provided any other details, so we don't know how long before Fellowship it will take place, or what characters and events it might depict. We also don't know how similar it will be to the Lord of the Rings film series from director Peter Jackson. Although the press release from Amazon mentions the success of those films, they haven't said if the show will be treated as a prequel to the movies or be a fresh start. Expect to cast a watchful eye on more details as the show continues development. The deal between Amazon and Warner Brothers is described as a multi-season commitment, so they're hoping that the show will be around for a while. The deal also allows for the possibility of spin-offs, so we might be seeing other Middle-earth adventures on Amazon if this one is a hit.
Blimey, you fools.
And another huge streaming service is taking on an even deadlier franchise. A live-action Hitman TV series is reportedly in the works from Hulu and 20th Century Fox. Deadline reports that the project is still in the early stages of development, but the idea is to make the show closer in line with the tone and feel of the Hitman video games, something that was lacking from the two big-screen movies based on the franchise. That would go a long way in establishing the show's credibility with Hitman fans. Best of all, the show is being written by Derek Kolstad, who created another fictional assassin, John Wick, so if the show is half as good as those movies, count us in. It's unclear if Hitman game creator IO Interactive has much involvement in the new TV adaptation. They recently became the sole owners of the Hitman IP following a split with their former parent company Square Enix, although how much control they have over the film and television rights hasn't been revealed. We do know that IO Interactive is currently working on the next big Hitman game, which they expect to announce sometime next year. That wraps up the rundown for today. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back again tomorrow with a brand new episode for you. But in the meantime, we've got lots of other videos for you to check out. So please do. And if you dig it, hit that subscribe button, that little bell. And if you're so inclined, that sponsor button too.